Hello, welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. Okay, a bit of good news on the chickens. These are the two hens that you see on the floor there. These two here, they're the two that survived. So they're the ones that went up the tree when we had the fox come into the garden. As you can see, they made a bit of a mess. The water needs cleaning out today, as you can see. So they've been kicking about. But just wanted to introduce. This is Charles. Charles is our new cockerel, who's been donated by a really good friend. Who basically he had 20 odd eggs this year that he hatched, and obviously a number of those were cockerels, and he was very kind enough to give me one of them, who's now been christened Charles. So Charles is our new cockerel. As you can see, he's a fine specimen. I'm not quite sure of what breed he is, but he most certainly complements the two Rhode Island Reds. Now I will be getting some more hens. It's not really the right time of year to get hens, sort of December, so may well have to, I'll keep my eyes open obviously for some more hens, but it's more likely than not to be the spring by the time I manage to get some. But the chickens are coming on. The egg laying ramp in the nesting box is working quite well, and these two are producing around 1 egg a day now between them. Some days I get a couple of eggs, sometimes I don't get none, but it's averaging out about 1 egg a day. So I can't really complain. Obviously they've just started to lay, so the eggs are a little bit smaller than they would be finally, so the eggs are only about kind of 2 inches or so tall. I'll show you one in a moment. But nevertheless they are laying, and funnily enough, it was the day that I introduced Charles into the coop that they started to lay, so I do believe it is in the best interest to have a cockerel if you're able to have one. Obviously they do make a bit of noise first thing in the morning, so you need to be careful with your neighbours, but as I live in the countryside, people are used to cockerels crowing and that, so I don't have any problem with that. But obviously before you do get a cockerel, always check that your neighbours are happy with that before you do so. But the one thing you can do actually, is what I did the first time round, is if you do live in a built-up area, what you can do is get a cuckoo Warburton cockerel, because they don't actually crow. They make more of a cuckoo sound rather than a traditional crowing. But as you can see, he's a fine-looking specimen. I am really pleased with him. He's got a fantastic comb and wattles and stuff. You can see he is a really nice specimen of a cockerel. But anyway, so a bit of good news on the chickens. I am sort of getting back there after the fox came in. But anyway, that's the chickens. Middle of December. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly give you an update on the flower spreads, which are effectively a brassica, where you get multiple sort of little cabbages growing on the side. Very similar to spread. I don't know if you can see, but they're just starting to form now. And you can see in there, you can just see the sort of the bottoms there. So what I'm going to do, I think, just to encourage them a little bit, is I'm going to take the tops out and eat the tops off these, because I think that might encourage the side growth to start a little bit more. Now, at this time of year, we should be seeing a lot more of them growing on the sides, and they're not quite forming as I would like them to. So what I'm going to do is, as I say, take the top out, eat the top like a cabbage, and then chop that up, and I'll be trying to get the side bits to form. But I was hoping they'd formed by now, but unfortunately not really taken off yet. Now this is the kale which we have been eating. As you can see, I've been taking off the leaves, and then they'll start to sprout. As you can see, we're getting these sort of young sprouts coming from the middle bit, so that's a lot more sort of tender than that. And now we've had a frost, the starches which are inside the leaves will turn into sugar, so they're much nicer to eat. But that's the bottom tunnel, still coming on quite well. Okay, and at this time of year when we've had a bit of frost, we can start to crop some of the plants. Now obviously we've got the kale inside the tunnels here and here, and once we've had a frost on that, it's so much nicer to eat, more sweet. But the one plant that does really come into its own at this time of year, once we've had a bit of frost, are parsnips. Now these are the 2 rows that we planted earlier in the year, and what I'm going to be doing is digging up a few for Sunday lunch tomorrow. So I'm going to start at this end of the row and dig a few up. So I just thought I'd quickly dig some up now and show you what they're like, but I'm not quite sure what to expect. But judging from the tops that we had on them this year, I think we should have a pretty good crop this year. Okay, so I'm just going to do this first one here. So I'm just going to get the wooden bits of string out of the way. Now obviously there's the first parsnip there. So all I'm going to do is put the you can dig these out with a spade or a fork. I've just got the fork here, so I'm just going to put that about sort of 4 or 5 inches away from the parsnip, so I don't damage anything. Oh, let's get this out of the way. That's it. Right, just do that and then pull it out. So there's a nice sized parsnip. It's nice and straight, which is basically what you're looking for. A nice sort of even sized. Take those leaves out now. Nice even size like that, and there's a little bit of a twist at the bottom, but that's not a bad. It won't be a show winner, but most certainly that's a nice size. Now, just moving on to this next one here, and obviously these were thinned out to about every 6 inches, because I don't like parsnips that are particularly too big. I'm not growing anything that's sort of too big. It's quite nice. Now that one's split, not too bad because we've got that side root there, but that happens when the tapping root goes down. Sometimes if it hits a stone, it'll either move off to one side or it'll actually split like that. Now I think that's either possibly hit a stone or there's been something going on there, but that bit there is still okay. The ground's a bit sticky today, so it's not ideal for digging these up. But anyway, again, not too bad. A bit smaller than the first, so I'll probably get 4 out, so I'll get these 2 out here as well. There you go, these are a bit better. So that one there, see that most certainly has hit a stone. And you can see, it's got quite a fat top to it, and then obviously it's all split off at the bottom. So that's the tapping root's gone down, it's hit a stone and caused it to do that, but it tastes nice nevertheless. There's just one next to it here. Again, this one's done the same thing, as you can see. It's quite fat, and so that's obviously again hit a stone now. None of these were transplanted this year. All of these were planted straight into the ground and weren't disturbed. So I'm not quite sure why these have done this. The only thing I can suggest is they've actually hit a stone. The way you can get around this is dig in a hole, or dig the ground and put a stick in the ground, and then make a parsnip shaped hole in the ground with the stick, just rolling the stick around like that, and then fill the hole with either compost or well riddled soil, so you know that there's no stones in there, and then plant the parsnip seed on the top of that, and then you will get perfect shaped parsnips if you want to show them or whatever. But as I'm only growing them to eat, something like that is perfectly okay for me. I always think the ugly ones taste that much better, to be honest with you. Obviously that's psychological, but anyway, so that's the first lot of parsnips out for this year. And what I always find is it's best to dig them out as you use them. The more frost that they do have, the better they'll taste. So you're much better off leaving them in the ground and just digging them out as you need them. And obviously the more frost you get, the more sugar is formed inside the root, so they'll taste that much better. So those are the parsnips for now. Okay, so it's time to harvest the ock, and as you know, I've been growing it up the side of the the greenhouse here where I normally grow carrots. I didn't actually grow carrots this year. So in the place where I normally grow carrots, what I did is I just, basically to grow it, all I did was I put a load of muck and straw and some good good quality compost out of the compost bin. Dug all that in so the ground was nice and fertile, because when you grow in ocker, what you want is good fertile soil which will hold the moisture. Then you're going to get good strong plants, as you saw earlier on. They did grow really well. They grow about I don't know, sort of 3 or 4 foot high, and then towards the end of the year, when you get a bit of frost, they tend to fall over. And now they've cleared, and we've had a bit of frost, and I know the tubers have fully developed. I can now dig them up, so I'll be doing that in a moment. But just to give you a bit of background, ocker's the first. This is the first time I've grown ocker, but ocker was basically ocker is Oxalis tuberosa, which is a vegetable which will grow in sort of quite a few areas. It was first cultivated in the South Andes as a vegetable, and it is a good vegetable. It's got it's very high in carbohydrates, so it's similar to like a potato. It's got a lot of sugars in there, so it's good for energy and things like that. It's also got a high concentration of vitamin A and B6. Now the vitamin A comes from carotene, which is why it's got that sort of orangey colour. It's also got a reasonable amount of potassium in there, so it is a really good healthy vegetable to eat. It's grown in sort of Europe and also New Zealand. As I say, it will grow in reasonably poor ground conditions, but to get the best harvest or the best yield, you're better off putting a load of compost in there, which will give it all of its nutrients that it needs to grow. So it was introduced into Europe in the 1830s, and it was introduced into New Zealand around 30 years later, about sort of the 1860s. And in New Zealand, it's known as the New Zealand yam, even though it's not an actual yam. But it's quite popular in New Zealand. It's not so popular in the UK. I've never seen it for sale either at restaurants or in vegetable shops in the UK. So if you want to try it in the UK, you most certainly need to grow it. The tubers are readily available to buy over the internet. There's quite a few different places. I was actually donated mine, and I just want to say a really big thank you to Tina and Jason down in London who donated some of the tubers to me. Thank you very much indeed, and also to Doug who donated the others. So I've got 2 different lots in there. I think they are the same variety. Now the ones that are sort of further this way, those are the ones from Jason and Tina, which went in a little bit earlier, went in about a month or so earlier. The ones down the bottom there were the ones that were given to me by Doug. Now, to grow them, all you need to do is chip them like potatoes. Now, ocker is a perennial herbaceous plant, so basically you can keep growing it like potatoes. You can save your own seed potatoes, and then the following year you can grow them on again. So the overwinterous tubers under the ground, and those are the bits that you eat as well. So if you save a number of tubers from this year, all you need to do is chip them just like potatoes next spring, and then plant them again, and then they'll carry on growing, and you'll get another harvest next year. So it's the kind of vegetable where you only need to buy it once, just like potatoes or things like asparagus and things like that. As soon as you've got the perennial plant established, and also things like rhubarb and things like that, as soon as you've got it established, you don't need to keep going out and buying seeds and stuff like that. It'll just keep growing for you, and every year you just got to come along and crop it. So with ocker, as I say, this is the first year I've grown it. It tastes, it's got like a lemony taste to it, a faint lemon taste, and you can cook them in a number of different ways. You can roast them, boil them. You can put them in all sorts of different dishes, and you can have them as a side dish as well. So there's a number of ways you can grow them. They're not so popular in the UK or in Europe, to the best of my knowledge. They are quite popular in New Zealand and sort of South America. But as I say, in the UK, they're not overly. There's not so many people, or at least that I know, that have ever heard of, let alone grown them. So as I say, this is the first year. I'm now going to go outside and dig them up. And basically, they all exist in the sort of the top 18 inches or so of soil. So just like potatoes, you dig them up, and then just clean them up, and then basically all you need to do then is cook them and eat them. Obviously, save some for next year if you want to grow them again. But so that's ocker. I'll now go and dig it up. Okay, so here's the ocker bed. Well, as you can see, the plants have now all sort of died off, and they've all sort of dripped out. So all I need to do is get these plants out of the way, and then dig them up. And there's around I think there's about 10 plants or 12 plants in here in total. I'll start at this end here and dig these up, which are the later ones. So I'm expecting the crop at the far end there to be better than the crop here, because those plants were put in earlier and became a lot bigger. So I'll start at this end and I'll work my way along, and then we'll see how we get on with the crop from under the ground. Okay, so I'm going to dig them up a plant at a time. As you can already see, there's one little tuber there, quite small. Looks like it's been attacked by. Yeah, I've got a slug here, so it looks like the slugs have found them. So I'm probably better off getting these out sooner than later. But I've got one plant here. That's the second plant there. So what I want to do is obviously try and target the plants as best I can. Even if I just sort of rattle around the surfaces, you can already see here are the tubers. So I'll just pull off what I can see there to start with. So there's plenty of tubers on these. That's just near the surface. So I'll bob them into the bucket, and then what I'll do is I'll get this one out here first. So I'm just putting the fork in about 9 inches away from the plant. I'll just fetch that out. So those are the tubers there. So they're not massive. I've seen bigger ones than these before, but just give that a quick shake. There are some bigger ones, but you know, I mean, all you need to do really with these is wash them, and you know, you can put them in holes. It's not as though you've got to peel them or anything like that. So the fact that they're small doesn't really matter too much. Now these plants, as I explained earlier, these plants were put in later. So the plants that I've got behind over there, which are just off the shot of the camera at the moment, they will have a bigger yield on, but they're not too bad. Now what I could have done was left these in a little bit longer, because these will survive under the ground with frost, but because we've had a reasonable amount of rain over the last week or so, I thought it's probably time that I fetched them out. So right, so that's the first plant. That was quite a small plant. So that's the first one done. I'll just get that out of the way. I'll just have a quick look around here just in case there are some additional ones, which there are. And then I'll show you where I got off that first plant. So I'll just have another quick dig around in the same place. Yeah, I think I've got them all now. Oh, there's one more there. Okay, so that's what we've got off the first plant. So not too bad. That'll do. That's a couple of meals. So I'll dig the second plant up. Now that would be the yield from that would be brilliant, because A, it was a small plant, and B, that was one of the latest ones, the later ones that were planted. So this one here is a slightly bigger plant. Let's try and get that out of the way. Right. Okay, so that's the top of the second plant there. I'll just, again, about 9 inches away, try and get the fork underneath it. A little bit fiddly trying to get these out, but there you go. These are bigger tubers, as you can see. Now, if I'd have left these in the ground, I don't think these tubes would have got much bigger than this. And what I might do is just dig up a few now, because these will store under the ground just like potatoes will. So even though that was a bigger plant, I think the yield off that one was actually less. The tubers are a little bit bigger, but there's a lot less of them. So what I'll do is I'll just get the rest off this, and then I'll show you the other plant. And that, I think that one was the seed that went in last year. I think, yeah, I'll discard that one. Okay, so I think that's all from that plant. I'll just give that a quick once over just in case I've missed any. Okay, so that's from 2 plants. So what I'll do now is I'll move round to the far end, and I'll take one up from there, which are the ones that Tina and Jason give me, and see how the yield compares. Okay, so this is the other end. I'll just pull the tops back, and you can see there's the first plant there. And as you can see, I think these are a different variety because they're actually a little bit darker. That's got more of a sort of an orangey sort of red colour to it. So I'll just see how this one's done now. These plants went in around a month or so before, and so these should be a bit bigger. Right. Okay. So, let's see what we've got. Not a lot on there, they seem to be quite small. There's nowhere near as many on there as I was expecting to, because that was quite a big plant. Unless they've gone a bit deeper than I expected. So they're reasonably small, not so big. So I don't think they're going to get any bigger now. But what I'll do is I'll just fetch the rest off this plant here. There's quite a few on, but they're really small, as you can see there. The little teeny plants there. Now there's no reason why you couldn't actually plant this root system again, I don't think. I'm not 100% sure, but what you could potentially do is plant that root system in the ground, and it may well grow again next year. I wouldn't like to swear to that. So the yield on that one wasn't that good. I'll just have a quick dig round in the ground to see if I've missed any. I don't think I have. That's a different plant there. Yeah, so there's not much more on there, so I'll go for the second plant over here, which is this one here. As you can see, there's some on the surface already, you can see. Which again, these are reasonably small. So they're quite small. I'll see what this plant looks like underneath. Okay, so we've got a couple of long ones in there. That looks similar to the masher that I was digging up last week. Okay, so I'll just get all of these off. That's what they kind of look like on here, and I'll show you what the total crop is off the 4 plants. Okay, so what we've got, as you can see, those were from the ones off the other side. And they're a reasonable size. The ones that came from Jason and Tina, on average, are kind of like that. There's quite a few small ones in there. So I'm imagining there's a good number of tubers, but they're all reasonably small. Now I think what I potentially need to do is next year start them a little early to give them a longer growing period, so that these get a bit bigger. You know, it's not too bad for the first attempt. So what I'll do is I'll be eating these over the next week or so, and what I'll do is I'll let you know how we get on cooking them. Okay, another Peruvian vegetable, Ulluco. I grew this year for the first time, and it was down just behind the camera here, down the side of the tunnel. Now these are like small potatoes. They come in various colours. You've got green, blue, red, yellow with pink spots on them. You know, there's various different varieties, and I put in, I think there's 5 different varieties that I put in. So it's basically the same plant, but different coloured tubers on there. Now you can either eat the tops as a salad, or you can eat the tubers which are formed over the sort of the winter. So it's basically another perennial herbaceous vegetable. And basically what you can do is you can save the tubers and grow them again next year, or you can eat the tubers as well. So during the year, if the tops grow big enough, you can basically harvest that and use that as like a salad. And then at the end of the year, the tubers will form under the ground, and you can eat those, very similar to potatoes. So you can boil them, roast them, or whatever. So it's another vegetable like mashua and oca. It's a very similar kind of sort of vegetable, the way you grow it. So you chip them like potatoes, you plant them in the spring. You need to put them in fertile soil, keep them well watered, because they're quite they look, the actual tops look very much like a begonia type sort of plant, very much like oca does. And then you can dig the tubers up. Now I dig them up earlier on. I must admit the harvest is terrible. Basically, I'm just getting 2 or 3 little tubers per each plant. I was expecting to get, you know, a handful, you know, sort of 20, 30 little tubers on there, but unfortunately they haven't grown anywhere near as well as I expected them to. Now during the year, the actual top plant, you know, the actual, you know, what's above ground, didn't grow particularly well, and I did keep them watered. I think the ground wasn't fertile enough for them. I think they need a richer soil, and basically the harvest sort of shows how, you know, they haven't grown particularly well this year. Next year I will try them again. I'll save some of the tubers for next year and grow them again. And what I will do is grow them in much more sort of fertile soil, and you know, I will have another go this year. But as I say, this year was the first go at it. Unfortunately, it's not turned out quite as, you know, anywhere near as well as I expected it to. But it's important that I show you the successes and the failures, so you can see and, you know, learn for yourself how to do it. But anyway, this is me digging up the Ulluco earlier today. Okay, so this is where the Kale was grown. Obviously I had this these nets over just to protect them a little bit. Now the plants are in here, and what I did was I left the name tag in here, so I know where the roots are. You know, there are a few weeds in there which I'm just going to quickly pull out, get them out of the way. So the first plant, which is this here, is there, and I think there's possibly another one here. So that's the first plant there. Obviously what I've done, in exactly the same way as the mashua and the oca, I've waited for the tops of the plants to die right back. With the Ulluco, what you can do is you can eat the foliage as well, like a salad, but this year I was more interested in the tubers under the ground than the foliage. Now hopefully under here I'm going to get some nice sized tubers. So there's the label which tells me where it is. This is a green one. There's a number of different colours under here, but so as again the ground is a little bit sticky for digging things up. Just look, seemingly we've got absolutely nothing else that one. No, there's nothing at all under that one. possibly that wasn't a plant. Or the plant died off. There's no tubers at all under that one, unfortunately. No, not a thing. So all I'm going to do is move to this one over here, which is the next plant. So just get these weeds out of the way. So I've got one plant here, there. I've got another one here, which is quite a big one, and there's another one there. So I'll just get these bits of weeds out of the way. And let's have a go at doing that. So I'll just move the camera forward a little bit, so you've got a better chance of seeing. So, okay, so the plant is basically just about there, just by the fork. Let's see if we got any more success with this one. So this one's a red one. Oh. Oh. There's one. So that's actually what we're looking for. There's another one here. Rather disappointing crop so far. That's just the plant. Okay, so we got two out of that one. Not looking very good so far. This is the first time I've grown these, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I think there's possibly one here as well, just off the camera. I'm just going to quickly have a look, see if there's anything in there. Okay, this is a green one. So there's a couple of green ones there, which was on that small plant. Some little baby ones here now. Even the little ones, what I'll do is I'll save those, because they may come in for like a seed next year. So that's been rather disappointing so far. Okay, so I don't think there's any more here to be had. Hang on, there's one more there. Not the easiest things to spot, even though they're brightly coloured. Okay, there's another one. There's a couple of green ones there. I'll be lucky to get one meal out of this, I think. No, I think that's it. Right, so I'm going to move on to this plant here. Now this one was one of the largest plants. So hopefully we've got something worth talking about in here. Okay, so there's the plant there. Just check to see that the camera can see that. Okay. Let's see what we have managed to get after this one. This one's a yellow one. Some little teeny ones, but again it looks like yeah, there's a couple there, but it looks like the slugs have been into it. Okay, so there's one there. I think I've just about got the seed back from what I put in, to be honest. Yeah, there you go. Some little yellow ones. There's certainly nothing here worth eating, I think. But obviously, I've got to be honest on the video channel, so what I want to do is, show you the successes and the failures. But I'll dig the rest out and see what I get. But seemingly, there's nothing really much here to talk about. That was one of the biggest plants, that one. So I don't think I'll just quickly dig around here. Yeah, there's one there, but the slugs have been at that one. No, there's none there. So what we've got, it's a 3 plant. Just quickly show you. Obviously these need to be washed, but that's kind of what we've got from the 3 plants. So not very much at all really. But anyway, that was Ulluco. What I will do is dig along this row. I might have some more luck further down, but not a most successful year. I will try and grow these again next year. We'll see if I can salvage enough to have some seeds for next year. But I think quite possibly where I've gone wrong here is the ground was nowhere near fertile enough for them, and also I think it needed more water in the ground when they were growing because the plants weren't very big. So to be honest with you, I'm not surprised with this crop. Some of the plants got to kind of about a foot or so high, but when I was reading the literature for these, it said they can grow up to 1 metre high, well, you know, and flop over, so very much like the ocker. But these haven't grown particularly well, anywhere near as big as I was expecting them to. So I think that reflects also in the amount of crop that we got off them. But anyway, you know, you have to take the successes with the failures. So that was the Ulluco. So I hope this episode has been of some use to you. Please don't hesitate to put any comments or questions you got below, and I'll always get back to you. And I'll see you on the next episode of Jim's Home Garden.